Today this finish line video is about the periodontal ligament structure. So if the entire idea of the videos are about how to orient the subject we know into an answer. So when it is given as an answer, given as a question in paper 1, how do we have to consolidate the knowledge we know, because already we are all into the mastering of the subject. So the idea is definitely not to teach any one of you the subject, but it is about how to orient it in the form and compile the knowledge you have to a answer form. So here I have a small index. Basically all of us have an idea of making an index, but I would recommend an index something where you can make it something like this. So here if you see the index, here if you can see the index, you have a serial number column, a content column and a reference column. So here the content would be, for example, if we are today we will be discussing about periodontal ligament structure. So here you can see that my contents are including the introduction, definition, fibers, cellular content, ground substance and a column called recent advancements. So basically even in the perio basics there is a very good recent advancements in case of, say it as periodontal ligament, cementum, alveolar bone and lot of other molecular biology. You don't have to actually give them all the idea about whatever you know, but at least you can just add up few words or few as your concluding thing, that yes, for example in case of periodontal ligament there's a lot of research going on the stem cells and its regeneration potential. So definitely you can add up those lines, and that's what makes you different from your earlier UG answers. Okay, so and coming to the references, I recommend you to write it parallelly when it comes. Like if in case of definition, from where are we picking? We have lots of definitions, but definition is to be from a particular reference, say either Carranza or Linde. If you are not able to remember the exact definition of it, then please do write it off as an introduction, or you can don't mention it as specifically definition, because definition is supposed to be in the very same words. Okay, and they are very beautiful articles. When you go back to the well-known journal of Perio 2000's older editions, say around in 1993, that was the first time when the first issue of the journal has come out, and if you see there were very beautifully encrypted articles, especially given by those well-known authors like Hazel, Bouchard and Christopher. So let's see, this is the first one. You can go back and refer this journal, and I have mentioned everything about this article. It's a very beautiful article about tissues and cells of periodontium, including all the basics about it. Even if you're not able to and read the entire article, at least go through the subheadings of them and look for the flow charts in it. Then there is one more article by, as I told you, Christopher. It's the periodontal ligament, a unique multifunctional connective tissue. So the material or the matter here is somehow compiled in Carranza. So all you need to have to know is that you just have to mention that you have been through these well-known articles in your answer sheet. And that's how, moving on, you have one more by Bouchard. That's the structure of periodontal tissues in health and disease. So if you see the basics, it is more to be topic, it's more very to the point answers. So some of the Perio 2000 articles are directly given as questions in the basic exams. So now coming to the matter, how we write it. Introduction. So just have to mention where the PDL stands and what it is. So you have to compile all the tissues of periodontium you know, and that small introduction, and then go for definition. As I've told you, the definition have to be quoted as from which textbook you are going to write it. If you are not sure about it, then please don't mark it as definition. You can include it as introduction. Okay, so hope you all go through these two definitions, which are from Carranza of the latest edition 13 and Linde 6th edition. And this is some important points I have compiled about the topic. So these are some key points. You can go back and always go through your textbook of Carranza and Linde. If possible, just go through Linde as well. And these basic topics need to be going through some old books like List, Garten and Grant, if you get, then Glickman. and Carranza and Linde. Okay, so the basic information which all of us know, that the width of PDL is around 0.2 millimeters to 0.25 millimeters, and it's hourglass in appearance. And the coronal direction, the periodontal ligament is continuous with the lamina propria of the gingiva, which you can interpret or see in this image. And if you can make these images little in your answer sheet, that would be appreciable. And you have to make a note of extracellular and the cellular components in that. Anything other than cells are extracellular. So it can be fibers, ground substance, blood vessels, nerves, lymphatics. And the important part is which are all the cells present in the periodontal ligament. That is synthetic, resorptive, epithelial cell rest and defense cells. So all of us know it pretty well that there are different type of principal fibers like transeptal, alveolar crestal, horizontal, oblique, apical, interradicular. And here you need to mention a note about Sharpie's fibers when you're speaking about the principal fibers, because the Sharpie's fibers, the terminal portions of these fibers, principal fibers, which insert themselves into the alveolar bone. So you can draw a diagram as well. And principal fibers, why are they principal? Because they are made up of principal component called collagen. So they are collagenous, arranged in bundles, wavy in the longitudinal sections. So coming to Sharpie's fibers, as I have told you, most importantly they are made up of non-collagenous proteins as like osteopontin and bone protein. Collagen, so that's a principal component here. We can see that these are all the amino acids out of which the collagen is made up of, and principally the hydroxyproline content help us to determine the amount of collagen in the tissue. It is responsible for maintenance of framework and tone of the tissue. This is a beautiful image given in Carranza, which it shows how the periodontal ligament is compiled and is formed of. And this is a table which gives us which kind of a collagen type is present in which kind of a fiber. Like in principal fibers, as to remember, type 1 is 1, that is topmost, which is principal. So principal fibers, I remember it as say 3 and R, 3R, that is reticular, and number 3. Base at the basal lamina, so base is number 4, the last one. So basal lamina is at the base, compiled of collagen of type 4. Similarly, you can remember 6 as well as 12, saying that it is immunolocalized in PDL and gingiva, and it is limited in tooth development to cell in case of number 12. This is a small mnemonic how to remember. And these are this image is very much important, how you need to know where is oblique, apical, interradicular, and with the image you can explain it. Moving on to the transeptal. Here, as all of us know that it has got no osseous attachment. It is the first one which is reconstructed after the periodontal surgeries. And alveolo-crustal, they extend obliquely, and main function is they prevent the extrusion of the tooth and they resist the lateral tooth movement. Coming to horizontal, it is again right angledly it is attached. Coming to oblique, the large group of fibers, and they extend from the cementum in the coronal obliquely to the bone. That's why, because of their orientation, they are called as oblique fibers. Their main function is to withstand the vertical masticatory stresses. Similarly, apical, as the name suggests, below at the apex, it is not seen in incompletely formed roots. Interradicular fibers fan out from cementum, and it is seen in furcation areas of multi-rooted teeth. Coming to the secondary fibers, now whichever is not made up of collagen are considered to be secondary fibers, and they are formed of oxytocin and alunin fibers. So and you have to mention about, if it is to be called as fibers, then write about principal fibers, write about Sharpie's fibers, write about the secondary fibers, and also include a note about the reticular fibers, indirect fiber, plexus. So that we are done with the various type of fibers. Now cellular structures, very important. Cells you need to know: connective tissue cells, grossly, epithelial cell rests of Malassez, and defenses. Now little deeper if you go, connective tissue cells, when they form, they are formative, they are synthetic. If they are resorptive, they are resorptive cells. They have certain progenitor cells, defense cells and cell rests of molasses. This is a little brief deeper classification. Coming to fibroblasts, so I just wanted to mention that a good image of fibroblast would be appreciated. Similarly, you can also put a mark like this and include all the various functions in the side tables like this, that hyaluronic acid is there. It most importantly, you can make a star mark that they help in production of growth factors. You can include the growth factors like whatever you come across, because this is again a recent advancement, which you can mention at the end of your answer saying the recent advancement and mention your references. Moving on, osteoblast and osteoclast, that is how you we all know that what their functions are. And a small note that about osteoclast saying they are multinucleated cells, and you can make always a image like this. Then this is about a ruffled border multinucleate cells of osteoblasts here. Cementoblasts and cementoclasts, as I was telling you, you can compare one resorptive cell with that of your synthetic cell. Cementoblasts are seen lining the cementum and they form the cementum. Cementoclasts are seen and how they are present in the Hauschep's lacunae. Coming to the epithelial rests of molasses, again this is a very important topic of research these days, that these rudimentary, or earlier they were believed that they were just some cell rests of molasses which are present, but they have found out to have some good potentials of regeneration these days, and which are again useful for further recent advancements. Moving on to their functions and all, they are in lattice work. They diminished in number as the age proceeds and become cementicles. We'll also discuss about the cementicles. So this is about the epithelial rests of molasses. Coming to defense cells, it's very important part and integral part of periodontal ligament to have neutrophils, lymphocytes, macrophages, mast cells and eosinophils in them. Coming to the ground substances, yes, ground substance is composed of two major components like glycosaminoglycan and glycoproteins. So glycosaminoglycans are hyaluronic acid, proteoglycans, and glycoproteins are fibronectin, lamellin, and most of it is made up of water. So as I told you, cementicles we will be discussing. So you have to make a note of cementicles. The periodontal ligament may also contain the calcified masses called cementicles, which are adherent to or detached. So this is an image from Carranza, where you can see these are two cementicles located here. One is attached and one is free cementicle lying here. So the references part, as I have told you, you can include it in your index at the very first page, and at the end you can also make a note of it. Definitely this is not the exact way of writing it, but at least this way you can show it in your exam. It's good, because you don't get time to write your Vancouver or Harvard systems of describing your articles. So just mention the textbooks, preferably write 2 or 3 textbooks and minimum of 2-3 of your articles, or at least 3 textbooks, 2 articles, but whatever is it, you have to mention the reference. That's where it makes you different from a UG student or a undergraduate answer. And quoting an article and the author is very important. Definitely it's going to add on your marks. Okay, thank you everyone.